Looking at the human eye, and again, trying to make it as realistic as possible, you're going to start with the outline. And the outline, a lot of people will draw like a football. And the football is the same on both sides. Okay, that's an easy eye to make, and that's not a realistic looking eye. What you really want to do, so we're going to cross that out, and the top line of the eye will have a stronger curve. Okay. The lower line still has a curve, but it's not as strong. Okay, that's why we stay away from the football shape, because it's not the same curve on both sides. This is a stronger curve. This has a little bit of a lip to it, and then it doesn't go straight across, but there's a slight curve to it, but it's not nearly as equal as the football. Now, the circle for the iris, okay, whether your eye is brown, blue, or green, it does not matter. The iris is the colored part of your eye, and it will sit very nicely inside your eye, with the bottom of the iris touching the bottom eyelid. All right, you generally do not want to ever draw somebody with their iris like this. Okay, if you draw them and they look like this, you see the whole iris and the whole eye, they're either very worried, very scared, or they're just plain terrified. Okay, or surprised. So the bottom of your iris will generally touch the bottom of your eye. The top of your iris, part of it will be covered up, so we do not see the complete circle. If you can freehand that, great. If not, you want to use your circle graph and find the circle that is closest to it and sit it in there nicely, and just lightly trace it in. Okay. If you don't have that, you will have to freehand it. And there's your iris. The whites of the eye on both sides are not the same shape, but they're the same size. And everybody has this little piece of skin in the corner. Right about there. It's different for everybody. The pupil, all right, is dead center. Okay, it has to be dead center. A lot of people will, again, mess up the fact that people will look to the side. Okay, so if people are looking out of the side of their eye, the iris will move, and then they have the pupil move as well. The pupil never moves. The pupil always stays dead center. If they're looking forward or looking to the side, the pupil is always in the middle. And that would be the next thing that we do. And so again, you can freehand it and just take your best guess. Take your best guess where that would be. The pupil obviously is the part of the eye that lets light in. So on a very bright sunny day, it gets very, very small. On a very, very dark day or in a dark room, it gets bigger to allow more light in. Try to make it dead center. If you have a circle graph, find the circle that you want to use. Make sure that it is all sides being equal. And I think I'm going to go a little bit bigger on that. Oops. Okay, and that's dead center. All right, should be the same distance from this side as it is from this side as it is from the bottom. I'm not going to try to match this because I still have part of that iris being covered up by the top of the eyelid. All right, so this top doesn't matter. This and this and this, that matters. Before I start doing any shading at all, I'm going to create a highlight. And the highlight for the eye is very important. Okay, depending on what is being reflected in the eye, these shapes change from eye to eye. And if you have a circle, just a smaller circle, a circle that kind of overlaps from the pupil to the iris, okay, that will do the trick. And that's going to remain white. And you can even add a secondary highlight to it, something like a snowman or whatever. But that remains white, and that's essential. That's really important for a realistic looking eye because the reflection, everything, the eye reflects quite a bit. And there has to be a highlight there in order for it to look alive. Okay, if that highlight's not there, it could look like a doll's eye. It looks very dead. All right. So you have the outline of your eye, you have the iris, the pupil in dead center, and then you have this little shape which is going to be your highlight, and that will remain white. The pupil is always black, whether your eyes are brown, green, or blue. This will be black. So use your 2B pencil. And you shade that in. Can you use a blending stick on an eye? Yes, you can, but just be careful. Just be careful. Stay within that small shape there. Make it nice and smooth, and you're good. All right. Now here is the very challenging part for most beginning students. The texture of the eye is quite a bit. Okay, if you look closely into somebody's eye, hopefully with their permission, okay, don't be weird, don't be a stalker, but if you look closely into somebody's eye, you're going to see a lot of color flecks in there, a lot of texture in there, and the best way I have found to do this is to first of all break this shape up into like pieces of a pie, okay, or a wagon wheel, okay, or like a clock, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, so on and so forth. And what that does is it just makes sure that everything is equal all the way around. When I start to add my texture and value, I'm going to use a very sharp pencil point, okay, and I'm going to work from the outside in. And as I work from the outside in, I'm going to feather, just going one direction, lifting my pencil point up off the paper as I go towards the center. And I can go ahead and touch, these lines can touch the pupil, but that one little section of the pie, and then I move to the next. One direction, not too hard, not making it super dark. And this can be done with a regular 2B pencil. Always one direction, from the outside in. If the eye is brown, you can go pretty dark with this. If it's blue or green, you're going to want to use less lines to make a lighter value. And you just keep turning the eye and working away from you. Be very careful when you get to the highlight as to not cover up the highlight. It's a little tedious at first, but it creates a really good, realistic effect. And just work your way all the way around. Okay. So that's one layer. Most people have a dark ring around the outside of their eye, and so you can redefine that. You're just working your way around inwardly. Okay, as I said, a mechanical pencil works really well for this. Reason being that the pencil point is always sharp. Continue to work from the outside in. Always one direction. Always picking your pencil point up off the paper as you finish. Now, blending again, be very careful. You can blend a little bit of the outside edge. You can blend a little bit of the interior, again pulling the same way, outside in, just very lightly, because you don't want to lose the individual lines. And you don't want to lose your highlight. Okay, so you can practice just that, just doing the iris. It'll be well worth your while. I'm going to redefine the eyelid line, or the upper eyelid, and then there's another part of the eye that a lot of people forget about, okay, and it is the eyelid line itself. When the eye is closed, the skin obviously covers the iris and you go to sleep or whatever. When the eye is open, that skin has to go somewhere. And that skin goes into this little crease, this fold of skin, which sits above the eye, and it kind of mirrors the eye itself. For some people it's very close, for some people it's a little bit further. So it depends on the person you're drawing. But for us, we're just going to kind of lay it up on top. Okay, and notice that it's not a perfect reflection. It kind of goes up and then across and then down. But yours can, I mean, it varies from person to person. It really does. The bottom of the eye has what is called the tear duct. Okay, as we cry, okay, tears begin to well up in the eye and will sit right on this tear duct. It's kind of what brings them into the corner of the eyes. A lot of people will cry from here and then down the nose and so on and so forth. And that's because there's this little piece of skin that sits right on our eye. And so it's very close, doesn't touch, but it's very close. And it's a light piece of skin. There's no eyelashes on it. And again, that changes from person to person. Okay, so there's the eyelid line, the tear duct line. And still no eyelashes. And again, that's important. We don't want to add eyelashes just yet. We're going to add value. Okay, regardless of what other color skin you have, everybody has value, and we're going to go put a little bit of value above the eye, a little bit of value below the eyelid line, a little bit of value above the eyelid line, and a little bit of value below the tear duct. Just a little bit. 2B pencil, light hatching. And then we move to our blending state. Lightly. Lay the blending stick on its side, thumb underneath, fingers on top. And bring this value down. If the eyelid line goes away, redefine it. Put that back in, because that's a pretty strong line. Where that skin folds in on itself and that eyelid disappears, that's a strong line and should remain a strong line. Also, and this is a part that people forget, okay, the eyelid itself, where the eyelashes go, actually casts a little bit of a shadow on a bright day on the whites of the eye. And if that's placed in there correctly, it will go a long way to showing a little depth, okay? And it's just a little bit right on the white of the eye, underneath the eyelid. Okay. All right. Now comes the eyelashes. Okay. So I blended all the skin first, and then the eyelashes come. If I do the eyelashes first and try to blend the skin after, it's a hot mess, because I have to blend and I got to cut and I got to get in between those, and I end up having to redo the eyelashes anyway. So again, with a very, very sharp point, okay, what you don't want to do is this. Let me just do it over here. You have a wonderful eye. Everything's been working out really well. I got the right iris size, right pupil size, everything's shaded in, and then I give it eyelashes. And that would just destroy everything that we've done. So if these are your eyelashes, let's not do that. To do realistic looking eyelashes, first of all, they don't go all the way to the corner. Okay, the top eyelashes, and for a female, obviously their eyelashes are a little bit fuller, a little bit longer, and that's by design. The eyelashes curve. They all curve, okay? And they're very, very close together. So up here, you might have a few, and they're going to start to go this way. Using a sharp pencil point is key. And then they're going to start to kind of go up before they start to go out. Again, feathering, one direction, flicks of the wrist. They're not all the same length. They kind of come in clumps. Some are longer, some are shorter, and then it goes to the corner of your eye. Shorter, some longer, feathering one direction, from the top of the eye out. Like so. All right. The bottom eyelashes are fewer. There are less, and they don't start at this line. They start at the tear duct line. And some of them are very short and far between. Some of them even crisscross. There's just a hint of these little eyelashes, and then they start to fill in a little bit more. Again, going from the tear duct line. Into the corner. Not quite as long, not quite as full as the top. Leave a little space between the eyelashes and then the bottom of your eye. And again, so this is why we blend first, so that I don't have to spend time blending in between the hairs, over the hairs, ruining it, and then redoing it. So wait till the very end. All the values are there, all the blending is done before you start adding eyelashes.